Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's FPV podcast. As we all know, DRL is on the air right now, so we have a DRL pilot for the first time this season, and we're going to get a chance to talk to him. He's been around for quite a while. He has plenty of freestyle videos, so you definitely want to check it out. But before we get into all of that, Elvin, what do you got?
Good afternoon, everybody. How you doing? Oh, that's the demon.
Anyway, hello, everybody. I hope you guys all enjoying the time that you have out there in the airspace. I have 6 flights today, all over a mile. Got to get out there and get that mileage. Anyway, I got to make up for what Y is not doing. He's been reined in, so I thought I'd go out there and make up some miles for him. So I went out and got an extra 5. So why I put 5 in your bucket? Hey, Blake, I got one for you too. One over there for you.
I need it.
Yeah, everybody enjoy your time. Let's get into this guy, man. I'm really interested in talking to him. It's been a while.
Yeah, definitely.
Welcome to the show.
So, Blake, a.k.a. Nubb, please introduce yourself.
I'm Blake Sams. I go by Nubb. Currently on this year's DRL for ESPN. I'm out of Music City, Nashville, Tennessee. Before we get started, I'd like to thank my sponsors, Vivid Aerial RC, Drone Box Drop, Heli Nation, Gym Fan Props, Nova Vapors, and, of course, biggest one of all, DRL. I mean,
right.
They're my full-time career right now. I got to thank them.
Definitely. You know what? It's hard to get those spots, so congrats on that. And we're definitely going to have some good questions on that. But for anybody who doesn't know you, Blake, can you tell us how you got into RC and FPV?
Yeah.
Ooh. So I'd say, what was it, late 2015, I was out at a casino in Oklahoma, and I did pretty well. And I was like, you know what? First thing I want to get with this money is I want to get a drone. So I went out and bought a Unique Typhoon. I probably flew that thing maybe 8, 9 times max. And while I was flying that thing around, and, I was searching YouTube videos about drones and stuff. And like everybody in the hobby, I spotted Sharpoo's videos and immediately got addicted to it. Ordered all my stuff and showed up about January 2016. Took me a month to build that thing after watching about 100 YouTube videos. And
that was hard.
Yeah, the first one's the worst. Especially at the time, I didn't know anybody. Like, I didn't know about all the Facebook groups and stuff. So like, I was just kind of alone in the building. First few packs, I went out and met up with the local group, and they're all super supportive, helped teach me a whole lot. They were actually the group that got me to go to ACRO and stuff. Stuck with them for quite a while. I mean, we've all been pretty tight-knit group for this past 2.5 years, going out training just about every weekend. We've had to move a couple flying spots, but it seems every time we move a flying spot, it gets a little bit better when we get more gates and just keep on going. A few of us, actually, we travel around a whole lot. If there's a race within 6-7 hours of us, we'll drive out to it every single weekend.
That is a lot of driving, man.
Yeah, that is some killer driving.
We had to have put, like, I want to say 30,000 miles on my buddy's car between 2016 and 2017, just going to races.
Yo, there we go. That's a rubber on the road right there. Now, let me ask you, did you start off racing or did you start off freestyle? Or were you always a combination of both?
I started off just trying to fly. And then
yes, okay. That's true.
And then it kind of adapted because the group that I was going to, like, they had 5 gates set up in like a 5-acre field, so it was kind of racing, if you want to call it that. And
freestyle racing.
Yeah, you can go around these trees, I guess, if you want. I'd say I was probably flying about 2 months before I finally got comfortable. We went out to our first beginner race, and I think after that race, all the adrenaline involved in it, I kind of got addicted to that. I tried to do freestyle for quite a long time. I kind of seen that the internet's flooded with so many people trying to do freestyle that it's going to be really hard to make a name for yourself just doing freestyle. So I knew that to be able to get my name out there, to be able to get popular, I would have to go to races. I'd have to put my name up on the leaderboards. And I feel like that was the only way that I could get recognized very quick.
I got you. No, that's a very smart move right there. So when you were out there, just doing your freestyle thing and also trying to get recognized for racing, What did you notice about the community? Did you notice that like people were very accepting and that you really did enjoy racing?
It was a little mix of everything. Of course, you're always going to have your bad apples, but you know, early 2016, all of this was still getting started. DRL was just starting that year, so there wasn't any like pro leagues out yet. There was nothing to really fight for. So it seemed like early 2016, everybody was much more helpful, much more like accepting of anybody new coming in. Or these new days, it seems like anybody new coming in, people aren't going to be like, oh yeah, man, I got an ESC for you. Here you go. So you can keep competing against me. So it's kind of been a mix of both of those. Definitely in the early days, it was very supportive. And I mean, still today, like I've got a few friends over the past year. I've had some rough spots, and a few of my friends have, you know, kept me up, kept me flying for the entire year.
Hey, that's what we talk about.
I know that feeling, man.
Yeah. It's a good community still, you know, and we need to continue to be accepting and also, you know, help out our fellow pilots whenever we can, because I see a lot of that still, but we definitely need to continue that culture. Now,
but
go ahead.
But that's, I mean, it's showing that the hobby / sport is starting to mature. I mean, really, when you think about it, what it is these pilots are starting to think like professional pilots, you know, professional competitors. You know, they're starting to think, well, wait a minute, whoa, maybe I'm not gonna give you my, you know, Ditone, you know, 60 amp speed controller so you can come out and whoop my ass tomorrow morning. You know what I mean? Maybe I might make you have to concentrate on it a little longer and maybe make you make a mistake somewhere else along the line. I mean, really, all of this stuff plays an effect to a racer, and you know, a little hesitation may cause someone to get antsy and throw in the towel and just leave. You know what I mean? So it's just showing that it's maturing, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing I'm seeing is like all these negative people that don't want to go out there and help all their friends, help even a complete stranger. They're going to end up weeding themselves out because they're going to end up in that exact same situation. And then boom,
eventually, they're done. We know that happens.
Yeah. Everybody's going to have a rough spot in this.
Right.
Everybody will have a rough spot. Actually, I think you and Elvin, we were talking about this before the show, met up at MDX. I actually don't remember meeting you, Blake, but like the first MDX, I was just too tired
you
to
were
really
running
care.
it, so you were
I did not care.
Yeah, I was running around for hanging out with my buds, you know, and Jeff and Blake was hanging out, and they came up together, right? That's
it was something like that. I think we took like 3 cars because we brought like 8 or 9 people up there, and we were all staying at an Airbnb together.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
It was a good weekend. I mean, it was you were busy. You were dodging, you know, drones.
I remember that. Yes.
Yeah, he was dodging drones. You were very busy, but we had a good time. It's why we went back, right, Blake?
Mm-hmm. MDX is fun if you have like 9 or 10 quads.
The first one, yeah,
everything
you
is
had
rock
like 9
hard.
or 10.
Yep.
Right.
Everything's rock hard down there. Yep.
I will say this though, like it's interesting that Blake is here, because when I first met Blake was a freestyle pilot. You know, he was like still doing freestyle. And when did you decide to go more toward racing? Like
the day that I decided to like try to take racing a lot more seriously was, what was it, Nats 2016. I went to nationals as a finalist and only got 36th place. And I wasn't really happy with my performance on that. As soon as that winter ended, I practiced my butt off so that 2017 I'd be able to go out and place really well in races. And fortunately that worked out for me, but I was still keeping up with the freestyle. The day that I fully quit freestyle was probably the day that DRL called me, because I knew anytime that I wasn't practicing on a normal 5-inch quad, I needed to be on the Racer 3.
Right.
Definitely. Now, this is actually brings up a very interesting topic that Elvin has kind of brought up, which is that a lot of the big DRL pilots are pretty well known for either winning big races or they're champions of other disciplines. You are kind of the one that kind of snuck right in, and when you did your Facebook announcement, everybody was like, "Huh? What?"
Who?
And then you showed your Racer 3. He's like, "Oh, wow, he isn't actually joking."
Yeah, I was like, whose ship is he got? Like, who he hanging out with? He got somebody's ship. Then, like, wait a minute, look at the shirt. Oh shit! Congratulations, man. If I haven't told you before, I wanted to make sure I tell you now. Congratulations on the work that you have put forward, man. You're doing good. It's good to see you mature too.
So, like, tell us your road to actually having DRL come out and contact you saying that you're in. Like, how did that happen in your mind?
Whew. So that one's kind of almost have to go all the way back to the beginning on that one. 2016 is when MultiGP started doing the regional series. Mm-hmm. And in my region, I had Wild Willie. So I went out to my regional finals, and I saw him as like my main competitor out there. You know, he's getting to be a big name. He's getting on the TV show, everything. And by the way, when I first saw DRL was coming out, I knew for a fact that's what I wanted to do. If there was some way for me to get paid doing this, I wanted to do it. So when I went out there to regional finals and was competing against Nick, almost beat him. And when I almost did, I was like, "Hey man, you gotta tell him, put me on the show. Come on."
Hey, you gotta self-promote, right, Elvin?
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, it's a closed mouth dog don't get fed. You know what I'm saying?
So I pestered him for, I'd say up until the day I got brought on. But after that, I told y'all that Nats that year, I started taking racing a lot more seriously. And in 2017, me and a couple friends drove down to Sebring. And that was the race that kind of started it for me. As far as like getting my name out there, I made it all the way up to 6th place. I'd only been flying for a year at the time, and I was really close running against Kane for taking 1st and 2nd, and had a small crash out, caused me to take 6th. So I took 6th in Sebring. I was pretty disappointed because one wreck, one lap away from taking, $4,000 home.
Right.
Had me upset. So I went back home, practiced a whole bunch more, and then at IO I took 11th place on the World Cup track, and then Nats that year took 14th place. And when I look back at the leaderboards of all of the races, I was the only person to make top 16 of all 3. So I was like, oh hell yeah, and I posted that on Instagram, and I guess me pestering Willie for so long, guess he mentioned it up to the higher ups, and they probably seen that post because they started following me shortly after I posted that. Getting into late 2017 was when they started doing the simulator tryouts, and I hadn't heard anything from them, so I was like, I gotta make it on the show. I'm gonna start with the simulator. I borrowed a buddy's Tyrannus and borrowed another friend's gaming computer because mine can't run it. I practiced on that thing probably 3-4 hours a day every day that I got off work, and was staying close to the top of the leaderboards, top 10 every week. And one week I just got a text message on Slack and was like, hey, can I call you tomorrow? And it was from Ryan Gurry.
Oh, yeah, he's like the race director, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, and recruiter. Recruiter's what I was looking for. He gave me a call that day and offered me a spot on the show, and of course I accepted. I was shaking the entire time, though.
He was doing like cartwheels and these like backflips or something.
Oh man, for a solid week, I thought it was a joke. I thought somebody was playing an elaborate prank on me.
Oh man,
that's such a terrible joke. So
bad joke, man.
So when the first Racer 3 got to your house and you unpacked it, what was your first thoughts?
I didn't have any like initial impressions on the drone itself because I'd gotten to fly Willies before. But that kind of like solidified it for me 100% that like, all right, this is happening. This thing is about to be my only drone for the next 8-9 months. Because if you look at the Racer 3 and the Racer 3S, the one that we're using this year, it's all the same powertrain. So these veteran guys have been flying this drone for already a year when I'm just now starting on it.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, shoot, I got to train so hard on this thing. soon as we went to our first event, as soon as I got back, I quit my job so that I could do this full time because I knew I was going to have to push really hard to keep up with them.
So when you actually got the Racer 3, we all know that it's actually a very heavy quad, and it's very different from the traditional 5-inch quads. What was your first initial impressions? Is like, I have to relearn everything on flying quads, or were you like, I just need to change a few things up and I'll get a hang of it?
I actually kind of lucked out there. So in 2017, I wasn't really doing very well on funds. So I was buying a lot of cheap components, super underpowered motors, and running really heavy quads like everybody else at the time. So I was already used to like kind of flying an underpowered quad in turns. So I was having to concentrate on lines. When I moved over to the Racer 3, the big difference that I had to make was just holding full throttle instead of half throttle through a turn. It really wasn't that bad swapping over to the Racer 3. It probably took like maybe 10, 15 packs, and I was destroying packs after that.
Did you find that the momentum actually helped you? Because a lot of guys have problems flying heavy ships, you know, and it's not really that you're flying a heavy ship. You just need to learn how to fly the ship that you have to fly, right?
Right.
It's not really about the weight. It's not really about the power. Once you know, like I could put you and all the same pilots out on a course with tiny whoops, and you guys will learn after a while. You guys will learn to fly it like you fly a Racer 3. You'll be more balls out, of course, because you get better when you know what you have to fly, right?
Yeah. I'd say with the Racer 3, you really just have to think ahead. Like with all these super light frames, people are kind of just pointing and shooting, heading straight at gates, making like sharp angle turns. With the Racer 3, if you're not thinking 2 gates ahead, you're going to lose a couple seconds on a track real fast. Any mistake on this thing, like just with the weight and power of it, any mistake and you're pretty much out. Like you got to have flawless runs to be able to stay in the pack.
They are definitely fast, and a lot of them, they're veterans. Some of them 2 years, some of them 1 year,
Right.
you know, and it's like, you're like 1 month.
Yeah, and not only are they, veterans on the Racer 3s, but they're veterans on dealing with the cameras and the interviews and everything. My first 2 levels, level 1 and 2, you can very much tell that I'm not comfortable with the cameras at that point. I'm kind of giving short answers like, yep, that's how it went. All right.
Yeah, when that light hits you in the eye the first couple of times, it's like, oh crap, I'm on TV. You know what I'm talking about. Why you've been on that camera, on the other side of that camera lens a bunch of times, and
you just completely forget.
You can't even plan what you're gonna say. The thing that throws me off is like you're in the middle of a heat and you get finished with the heat. So like if you win, you go up and do your interview, and they'll sometimes they'll ask you a question like, how do you think this person's doing? And I'm like, I don't know. I was watching me. I wasn't.
How was I supposed to know about that? I'm just trying not to crash at this point.
Right.
Yeah.
I thought I was supposed to be winning, not watching.
It's a little tough concentrating on everything all at once. Probably be what I say is the hardest thing is you can't just watch what you're doing. You have to watch where everybody else is fast on the track, where they're slow on the track, where you can make passes where they might fall behind.
Definitely.
And trying to keep up with all that's kind of confusing whenever you are getting the chance to just be in the other group that's not flying at that time. And you're just trying to watch the one person that's going fast, trying to learn the track. You're not paying attention to the other people that might sneak up in a little while.
Oh, yeah. There you go. There's a lot of strategy involved, right? Especially when the packs are so tight together.
Oh, big time strategy involved.
Yeah. That's something that, like, on the show, I think they're still kind of missing is, like, trying to get the pilots to, like, divulge a little bit of the strategy to make the show a little bit more interesting. But I understand that, they got to get to the racing, I guess.
Well, you don't see NASCAR drivers giving away their secrets.
That's true.
Right.
But we also have to be a little bit different than NASCAR too, right? So I don't
Well,
know.
I mean, like
you
I
still-
said,
you
it's
don't
part
see
of growing up.
motocross riders. You don't see RC car drivers. Any other racing series, you don't see teams or individuals giving away their secrets on how they're winning.
Right.
That's their secret, and they want to keep winning.
Okay.
Yeah, like, you know, I wouldn't like I know for a fact I wouldn't share my PID tunings with no one. If I was racing, like, that's your problem. You know what I mean? If you don't know how to tune, that's your ass. I'm sorry. I mean, like, I know that that's part of my flying style, you know, is knowing that my stuff is gonna go wherever I tell it to when I want it to do that. And if I'm helping you, then I'm not helping myself.
Right.
You guys
I
are
mean-
so mean. You guys are so mean.
It's
Okay,
not me, dude.
I know.
Just like I said, you got to grow up. This hobby/sport bullshit got to grow up. I mean, and it's gonna get competitive, boys and girls. Put your big
It's-
draws on and the big shoes and get ready. Let's do something, because that's what some of us has been thinking about this from the beginning. And why is giggling over there? Because he
It got him
knows
hot.
that's
Okay. Now, what do you want to say?
So-
Go.
To me, it's a little different when you're, just
okay.
out shooting the shit with buddies and you're out at some local race, or I mean, shoot, even if you're at Sebring Nationals, IO, whatever, it's different there, because whatever's going to happen is going to happen, whether you help that friend or not. And I support helping that friend. I'll give you a quad if you need one. But when you're at DRL race and it's literally just down to pilot skill. It's not, hey man, I need a motor, something like that. Giving somebody a piece of your strategy that could jeopardize your career, that seems a little different to me.
Yep, definitely.
True.
I know.
I mean, coming in as a rookie this year, there's several veterans that have helped me out tremendously, giving me pointers and tips on how to handle myself through this season, and they've helped, and I'm extremely grateful for them. And I have no doubt in my mind that if I come up with a good strategy myself that works at some point, then I'll give them the same strategy. Like if I'm taking a specific line and they're wanting to know how I'm doing it, I'll tell them, because I'm sure that I could have more fun having a competitive race than me just being way out in front the entire time.
True
True.
enough. Hey, you know what?
And you're in television. I mean, it's about suspense. It's about keeping it competitive. The tighter the competitiveness, the better the show. I mean, this blowout stuff, we've all experienced this stuff before, in all vast of sports, from soccer to from both types of football to baseball to table tennis. And we don't like when you go and sit down and you pay to watch stuff and you watch a complete blowout. It doesn't look like the person that was on the other side was capable of being where he was at for that match. And you guys make it look, I mean, it's very competitive, even when you're not placing in the first, second, and the third position. You guys are still competitive all the way through the race, and that's why it's good TV. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. I would say for the drone racing part, though, I'd say a complete blowout. Somebody just going out and dominating the field, like you were able to see that person run through the entire season. If somebody goes out and dominates the field, like, hey, that was their track. Like I'm impressed by that kind of stuff. I don't get bored off of it. Like I start rooting that person on a little bit. For example, Evan out at IO this year, he went out and just destroyed everybody. Now whenever I was in the brackets, I was not rooting him on, but when I was out, I was cheering him on big time. I wanted to see him win.
True enough.
He
man.
did that.
True enough.
And to me, it wasn't boring watching him go through that. I have seen other races where he makes it all the way up to the finals, and on the finals where they're doing 3 laps, he's 20 seconds ahead of second place. And man, it's boring as can all be, but I mean, it was still exciting to see him be able to pull away that far against other super competitive people.
Kid's a machine, man. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad he lives in Tennessee, but
He's like, he's not in my region. That's all I care about. I totally understand that.
no, he
Hey,
is
like-
he is in my region. He
Oh
actually,
yeah, he is, isn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's in your region.
he had
He's
to miss
tough. He's a tough competitor, but so are you. I mean, you've competed on different. See, that's the thing. Like nobody knows that you've put in all of this time behind the scenes, racing all these big races back behind the scenes, and the fact that you would you guys, like you said, you guys would get in the car 6 miles, 6 hour drive is not a big issue when all of y'all are riding together. And that's how you were able to dominate over a longer period of time all over the place. So you look like you're on this great sponsor trip, you know, but you guys are just out making you guys' rounds and working together. And that is what got you where you at today. I mean, the fact that you was out everywhere.
Yeah,
and you were gaining that
to
experience.
getting out to any race and just showing your face and showing people that you're out there, whether
Right.
you win it or not, is always going to be good PR for you.
Exactly.
Definitely. All right, let's go ahead and finish up on DRL because we definitely got other things to talk about. So obviously we can't talk too much about DRL because the season's going on and we don't want to, get Nubb in trouble. But last question here is that obviously the first two races have been difficult for you. Like, what did you feel, coming back from each race like that? Because you knew you had to improve. Did you have a plan?
Oh man, my first two races, I did pretty well in the semifinals of each race and made it up to the finals. For level 1, I was the only rookie to make it into the finals. For level 2, it was I was one of 2 rookies to make it into the finals. Once I got there, I don't know if it was just nerves that cracked me or if it was just bad luck, maybe mid-airs, probably a combination of the few. But when I got to finals, it just kind of seemed to fall apart. And I think level 1, I took 5th place. Level 2, I took 6th place. And I was a little bummed out about that. But the rest of the veterans were really good at keeping me cheered up. They were like, dude, you made it to 2 finals and you're a rookie. Like, there were some veterans that didn't make it to the finals in these 2 levels. Like, you got to be proud of that. And so leaving out of there, like, I went home and still trained a lot harder because 5th and 6th I wasn't happy with. But I was still happy being able to make it into 2 finals on my first 2 races.
I would totally agree with you on that. Making it into the finals is kind of like placing in multi-GP, right? Because you've gotten to the end, right? Now, what happens during the finals, that could be anybody's game. But sometimes luck doesn't flow your way. That's just how it goes.
Right. I think one thing I figured out was finals is more of a long game because it's 6 heats and then the golden heat. With the semifinals, you've got the 4 heats and then the sudden death. So with semifinals, you got to go all out and try to place first place to clinch your spot in the finals. And if you don't, you got to go to that sudden death heat, and that just adds even more stress. So I think figuring out going to the finals, start playing the long game is where I think other veterans have figured that out and just decided not to share that.
Hey, you know what? You got to win, right? You got to place first to win your ticket to Saudi, right? That's how it is.
Right.
Oh man. Well, you know what? We'll continue watching DRL and hopefully we'll have better news and we'll have you on. We can talk about some of the other races, but for now, we're just going to leave it at that. So let's jump back. Let's jump back to grassroots because that's probably going to be the next thing coming up for you, which is MGP Nats. I'm sure you've where'd you place in finals or regional finals for Nat or multi GP?
Oh man, I do not want to talk about regional finals. That was a bad experience.
Hey, sometimes it happens.
Oh man, I think I got 16th.
16th.
I was 2nd or 3rd in qualifying with the fastest lap time of the weekend, fastest heat time of the weekend, and just run a bad luck, had a bad heat, and got knocked out in brackets. So I'm on the list, and that means if I go to Nats, I got to qualify to qualify. to make it
Oh,
into the top 16. And
you got a long road ahead of you on that one.
Wow.
yeah, and
You can do it. You can do it. You've done it before. You can do it again.
yeah.
I have
Actually,
faith
this
in
is
you.
it's a little disheartening. This is the first year I've gone to Nats where I was not in the finalists. So going as a list competitor is it's gonna add a little bit of stress to me.
It's all right.
Having to drive 14 hours to get down there.
Sometimes
Sweetens the win. It sweetens the win.
Yeah.
there we go. Sometimes you just need that little extra oomph in order to get you, a little bit better. That's what I say. But hey, look at it this way. At least MGP Champs this year is over on the East Coast instead of having to go all the way over to the West Coast.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
that can
Right now, I'm debating between either flying or driving. If it was in California, I wouldn't have a choice. I'd have to fly.
Exactly. So it's nice to have it in sunny Florida.
Yeah, right now we're just trying to train as much as we can, trying to do a few local races every now and then. We've got a buddy, Racer Joe. He's got a field out at his house, and he's got a barn with probably 10 or 15 tables in there, so we can get a whole bunch of people inside. He's got bathrooms and everything, and
that's sweet.
yeah, I'd say it's like 300 by about 400 by 150 foot field. And he's got a little creek, and man, we probably got 20, 25 gates, a dive gate, 3 high gates and everything. We'll go out there and set up the craziest courses you can think of, and just try to break as much as we can on the weekends.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Got to get back into your 5-inch groove. So let me ask you, going from the Racer 3, a kilogram quad or 1,000-gram quad to your 5-inch, was it an adjustment period involved in that?
Oh man, it probably takes me about 10 to 15 batteries to get used to it. We went out just a week ago. It was my first time flying a 5-inch quad in like a month. And the first few packs, I was so used to being on full throttle on the Racer 3 that I went to go take off, and I was just darting around the track, and my heart was pumping through my chest, and I was freaking out. I was like, oh, man, I got to slow down. I can't hold on to this thing.
Your battery was like going, what are you doing?
Yes. All my batteries hate me.
get off my back.
Any specific strategies that you're going to have for going into champs for MGP?
Go fast, don't suck.
Don't go fast, don't suck. Hey, I like
Right.
that. It's 2 months away.
It's not how fast you mow, it's how fast you mow.
Oh dear.
Honestly, it's really going to depend on what MultiGP decides to do with their tracks. A whole lot lately, they've been deciding to build larger, faster tracks, and that's not the way that we need to go. Everybody moved to 6S, hoping that the tracks would stay built for 4S, and now that they're making tracks for 6S, we're just burning batteries. Like there was a whole pile of dead batteries at IO, probably 20, 30 batteries after just a couple days, because they're building these massive tracks. And if it comes down to that, it may be the long game, just trying to cruise and just barely qualify and then make it into brackets, and then you can go fast.
Yep. Yeah, especially if you're not sponsored, right? Those batteries are not cheap.
Right.
Those.
Yeah. No.
$20 a piece.
I tell you what, I'm kind of surprised the community of racers haven't made a bigger deal of that, because everybody talks about it, but nobody actually has like say, "Can you please stop making these big ass tracks?"
But
there's
who's really in charge?
There's many advocators for trying to either reduce the overall time of the track or reduce the size of the track. I personally favor, so right now we're doing that 2 minutes finish your lap. If you go really fast, you may have a 2.5 minute heat because you got onto an extra 30-second lap. But if we make it 1:40 finish your lap, then you'll only fly for 2 minutes 10 seconds. You're taking 20 seconds off right there. Or we could even do 2 minutes no finish your lap. So when that 2 minute bell dings, you just land.
Right. Or you cross the finish line, doesn't count. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they kill the ships in the air where they bounce.
No. You're funny. You're funny.
The only other options is if if they make the track smaller to where, you know, it's a 15, 20-second lap instead of these giant 30 to 40-second laps, the option that they'd go with was 3 consecutive laps. That way, in 2 minutes, you could do 5, 6, 7 laps for all the top pilots. So if you know that you're going to go out there and destroy battery, you can take the first lap real easy, and then those next 3 laps you can go as hard as possible, and you may land after, you know, a minute 15, a minute and a half, just so that you're saving your battery.
Yeah.
It's kind of doing the smart thing, because, man, once we get to brackets, we're only doing a minute and a half races. There's no reason for us to qualify doing 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes like we're doing.
Good points, and I don't know, man. I still like the whole laps. If you did, you know, 5 laps, first 1 to 5 laps wins, you know.
Yeah.
But you can't get that with the courses that we have today. I mean, you can't get 5 laps. If you got 5 laps, your ship would be on fire, right?
Oh.
I mean,
man, at IO, people were struggling to get 4 laps. People were smoking batteries trying to get 4 laps.
That's just ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love these super large but still technical and flowy tracks. But when it comes down to it, if I'm trying to do a qualifying where it takes 2 minutes to get a good qualifying time, and I'm costing myself $30 to do it, I'm not happy.
No, I don't think anybody should be happy with that. You know, it's just that makes it for an expensive hobby for a lot of people that already are kind of sometimes struggling to keep it flying.
Right, I mean, and that's true. That's true. There's a lot of people out there that cost, that extra $40 cost, or could be $80, $90 cost, depending on what happens when you crash out. You know, from falling out of the sky when your ship is smoking and the battery is already 4 times what it was.
There's a whole bunch of advocators for like, well, why don't you just build a quad that can fly for 3 or 4 minutes? Well, my quad, if I fly it the way that you're thinking of, I can fly my quad for 12 minutes as is, not overcharged. I could probably fly it for 16 minutes if I overcharged it, but I'm not going to fly like that when I'm trying to race somebody.
Right.
I want to go fast. I want to try to beat the next guy. And no matter what quad I build, it's going to do that to my batteries.
It is tough. I have no sage advice for this, and I've already weighed in, and I've given up. So it's up to you guys. It's up to you racers to go figure that one out. Yeah, you funny. All right, let's start wrapping up
my
the show.
My 7-inch get 9 minutes.
And it's slow as hell.
9 minutes?
Slow.
Man,
9 minutes.
Slow as
whipping.
Oh,
9
ripping.
minutes. 9 minutes.
I've got a quad over here I wanted to test for long range, and I just set the throttle to like 30, 35%, just cruising. I got 12 minutes on it. I was like, all right, sweet. I'm happy about that. So if I ever get up to a mountain, I'll be able to cruise it.
Yeah, I mean that's cruising, but I was doing I'm this not slow. This is 95. This 95 kilometers an hour.
Oh, now you want to talk kilometers. You just wanted a bigger number. That's what you wanted.
He didn't want to say 53 miles an hour.
Yeah. 95 kilometers is so fast. Oh my goodness.
Like
all
58.
I'm just messing with folks. My ship does do 95 kilometers, and it is a true 7-inch. It runs 7-inch props, tri-blades, HQs, if V1s, and send me some HQ. But
quit chilling.
I mean, the thing is that everybody's always, every time we make this battery adjustment or this, time adjustment or track adjustment, things all of a sudden become impossible to meet the criteria that we started off with. I mean, like when we first started racing drones, back in 2014, 2015, we had a 3S limit, and most guys was running 3S and going, oh my God, it's so fast. And Jesus, oh my God, it's so much power. And then they got their ass handed to them. by some dudes running for us, you know, and then it just got bigger and bigger. Right. That's what I'm saying. It's
like y'all started killing 3Ss and then 4S got popular.
Right.
A year later, we started killing 4Ss. So
now
then what happens? 6S. And it hasn't even been a whole year and people are killing 6S packs back to back. And
blowing up batteries.
There's always going to be a fine line between people trying to push the utter edge, the utter limits of what they're wanting to do with a quad. Like these people out there running 1050 6S batteries, trying to cross the finish line when the battery dies. There's still a large group of us. Like that's probably the top 1% of pilots that are just chasing those extra grams. There's still a large group of us that are, I want to finish with my battery at 40%, but I don't want to carry a 300 gram battery to do that.
It's tough. I don't think it's possible, but yeah.
I do carry a 300 gram battery.
It's, yeah, no sage advice.
2700, baby. That's what I'm saying. But it's power. I mean, look, if you guys can attain it, and you can attain it efficiently, then you can fly faster, harder, right? If you're using the energy better. But I still say that a lot of that's the cool thing about the Racer 3, the Racer 2, not so much the Racer 1, but the Racer 2 and 3 have gotten more efficient. They're utilizing better power usage of what the motor is capable of putting out. So you guys are actually getting faster over time, and you guys are actually capable of not. Like, I don't think you guys are blowing up batteries on Racer 3s, right?
Kind of. Now, when we land after like whenever I go out and practice, I make sure that my timer is set at a minute, maybe minute and a half, depending on the track style. But when I land, my battery will be at 30, maybe 25%. So it's still, 3.75, 3.8 area. Man, it is smoking hot.
Oh,
really?
Yep. Starting to drain that sucker.
Well, I mean, those motors are hungry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they still in 5S for this season?
Yeah. So the Racer 3S, the main things that were updated in it were like interior electronics. So we have a new control link. We have new VTX that can do a range of frequencies. We have over 700 LEDs inside. And we have 12 IR blasters, so they're able to do timing throughout the track and be able to keep up with us a little bit better.
12.
Hey,
yeah. So
$40 a piece. Remember that?
so this year they didn't update they did not do anything to the flight controller ESC motors. All of that's going to come, next year when the Racer 4 comes out.
Racer 4, can't wait for that, but that's a little bit, that's a little too early for that. Okay, I promise we're actually gonna wrap up. So, last question for you, Nubb. Yes,
Liar.
Yeah, it's probably lying. I'll be truthful. What does the future hold for you? Obviously, season of DRL's over, going into multi-GP champs, and then starting the cycle over again. If you had to rub your magic ball, what are you hoping to happen in 2019?
2019, I'm hoping to be on to next year's season of DRL. Hoping to keep this as my career. I mean, I want to do this for as long as I possibly can. Be a wuss when it comes to flying, and I'm going to take breaks every now and then. But when it comes down to it, I'm going to try to practice every weekend, every day that I can get out. Where it's a nice day. I'm not having that this week, but anytime that I can where my friends are available, I want to go out and practice with them.
Sounds good, man. So anything specific goal-wise that you want to accomplish in 2019, or are you just going to see how it goes?
I want to win DRL next year if I'm on.
All right, there we go. That's the right answer.
That's the right answer.
Okay, cool, man. Hey, Nubb, thank you so much. I am not going to end this. Elvin was correct because I forgot this question. Nubb, how did you get your FPV name? Because I forgot all about that.
So in 2014, I used to work on cell phone towers, and we were out building one. and we had to use some pieces of equipment to move around the steel and just moving stuff around. I got my fingers caught where they probably shouldn't have been, and I crushed off my index, middle, and ring finger. Got rushed off to the hospital, went into surgery, woke up 6 hours later, and went on home. A couple weeks later, I got the cast off, found which fingers they had kept for me because they weren't sure which ones they could keep. A couple weeks after that, I was in a motorcycle club at the time, and I was prospecting for them. And I went to our club meeting, and I rode my motorcycle with pins through my fingers and bandages and everything, and rode my motorcycle to the meeting, and they gave me my cut, and it said Nubb on it. So that was the day I turned into Nubb.
There we go. That's a very fitting name. But ow, holy crap! When I heard that, it still pains me. It's like ow.
Oh yeah.
But you know what? Hey, still doing well, right? Still can fly. Still can fly fast.
Yeah.
Still can fly real good.
There's actually a complication in the surgery, like the original surgery, that so whenever you get something severed, your nerves start to like grow back, and they start to spread out through your finger again because you just completely cut them off. And at the tips of your fingers, your nerve endings are so small that the doctors can't actually connect them like they could in your arm. So the nerves just have to grow themselves. And whenever they did, one of my nerves went up to the edge of my skin and was extremely sensitive. If I so much as touched it, I'd be on the ground in pain. Yeah. And also there was a bone fragment in between the knuckle of my finger, so it was making it go a little crooked. So I went back and had another surgery, and whenever I went into the OR and was talking to the surgeon before the operation, I was telling him, hey man, can you leave my thumb out? I just started this new hobby and I want to still be able to fly. And so I got a couple months off work, and that's how I was able to like get out and practice all the time whenever I first started.
And that's the secret to being on DRL. No, I'm kidding. I'm totally, don't ever do that.
Hey, check that out. Check that out. But you're obviously not hindered by it. You know, you're doing well with DRL. You were doing well with racing, and you were doing great with freestyle. It just, like you said, there's so many people out with freestyle. I mean, there's just so many faces. You can't, I have such a hard time trying to concentrate when people talk about a new pilot. I'm like, what? So who does he fly like, And then they'll say, oh, he flies like this or that, and this guy, and then he's somewhat like this guy. And you're like, man, there's just so many different freestyle pilots, but there's only really a few real racers. And so far you have proven to be one of those guys. And it's a pleasure to know you, man. Over the last couple of years, you've done well for yourself. And I wish you many more years of good luck and great practice and a lot of first place finishes, I hope. Got to keep it competitive.
That's right.
Before we hop off here, I'd like to say a couple of thanks to some of my friends. That's all right?
Yeah. Go. Shoot.
Yeah. I want to thank Bird Dog. He's kind of been my number one supporter over this past couple of years. He always gives me rides to these races and practices, he makes sure that I'm out training and doing the best that I can. I'm almost 100% sure if he wasn't there by my side, I wouldn't be on DRL. Good friend Racer Joe, he's always wanting to race, more than happy to go out there and battle it out with me and sacrifice quad parts. Alex Campbell, Chief, anytime he's out there, he's pushing me to my limits. Used to be the other way around, but I think he passed me at one point. And let's see who else. Matt Bennett, he's always been around, helping me, trying to stay motivated. And of course, I guess you two bringing me onto the show this week.
Hey,
man.
no problem,
Happy
man.
to be here.
You've done this all on your own, buddy.
We're just here to help push you along to get everybody to know you a little bit
man.
more. You know, the warm and fuzzy.
Yeah, warm and fuzzy.
Okay, last question, and then Elvin.
Shit.
Nope, you can't ask any more questions. If people want to reach out to you on the internet, where could they reach out to you?
On Facebook, I'm Blake Sams. Sam's like Sam's Club.
No relations.
No relations. Haven't got any checks from that yet. And on Instagram, I'm Nubb FPV. YouTube is Nubb FPV also. That's NUBB.
FPV. That's right. So give him a follow. He actually had some really great freestyle videos back in the day. You might want to check those out.
Yeah.
They're probably still pretty good, to be honest with you.
I would say it's he hung out with a pretty tight crowd.
I've been trying freestyle lately, and I just don't feel like putting all the effort into the edit. I end up just posting one flight clips and putting a little music over it.
Yeah,
That's Elvin's problem. I think there's a lot of goodness in that. You know what I mean? I really do think that there's too much editing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I like that one flight, one shoot kind of thing. You know,
it shows the flow.
Right. It shows where the real flow is. You know what I mean?
And then you can go look at somebody who has a one single flight where they're showing all their perfect flow, but then you scroll over to Johnny where like he may not have the amazing location and he may be doing like just kind of cruising, but you still fall in love with the video because he's freaking amazing at editing. Where if somebody else went off and did the exact same flight style, you might hate their video just because the edit didn't like suit the flow of the video. So there's kind of two arts in that, and I really suck at the editing, so I just kind of quit worrying about freestyle.
Actually, I suck at editing too.
Why is
a master?
No, not really. I try. But I think my favorite freestyle videos from you were always the fast ones, to where it's like semi-racing and I don't care. I'm just going to make it look cool. And then it's like, wow, that was really cool.
And another
Some
thing,
people call that, slow flow.
Oh,
it's hard to stay motivated when you're constantly going back to the same spots that you've been to 20 times. If it's not a new spot, like I kind of just get bored.
Oh, I agree with you on that. Except, slow day of flying.
Like today, I went somewhere that I haven't flown in probably 5 years, and it was really cool because, I went somewhere where I hadn't flown in 5 years. I went and asked somebody if I could fly off their property, which I had permission 5 years ago. I just wanted to make sure I had it today, Hate to get snuck up on with a shotgun.
Right.
It's not as exciting for me as it is for the other person. Anyway, but and it was really cool. It was like I was saying, hey man, see, I used to fly over there. Let's go fly over there now. And like before, it was a problem trying to get there. And this time it was like cakewalk. It was like straight there, turn around, came back, and dude was like, I'm ready to go home already, man. I did what I've never flown all the way here ever. You know what I mean? I made it. Let's go home. Let's go. I need to go look at the video.
Oh yeah, I've got a few spots like that where we don't fly at them, but every time I look at them, I'm like, oh, one day I'll be good enough to do this one thing, and hopefully in the future I actually do go back and do it.
Yeah, that's cool. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
That's called passion right there, folks. But you need to actually end the show because I need to keep going. So, Nubb, thank you so much for the time, man, and we hope to get back with you probably beginning of 2019, see how you're doing, and we'll get the rest of the story.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Hey, great having you, and we will see our audience next week.